What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Liao with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's defense ministry has accused China of violating the United Nations Charter. The ministry said Chinese military aircraft and warships repeatedly crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait in recent days. That's an unofficial border between the two sides that has generally been respected until now. A spokesperson for the ministry said this action goes against Article 2 of the United Nations Charter. The article calls on member states to refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. China is now conducting new exercises in the Yellow, Bohai, and South China Seas. These drills cover all areas of the Chinese coastline and are scheduled to last for up to a month. For more on China's 4 days of war games surrounding Taiwan that concluded on Sunday, Louise Watt has this report.
A fighter jet prepares to leave an Air Force hangar in Hualien in eastern Taiwan. Before it takes off, a Harpoon missile is loaded on board. The yellow stripe means it's a high explosive hazard. The pilot and others mobilized in response to Chinese exercises in 6 areas surrounding Taiwan. Beijing says the drills shattered the median line of the Taiwan Strait, announcing that Chinese planes and vessels can now be expected to regularly conduct training to the east of that sensitive line, which military aircraft and warships usually don't cross. That would increase pressure on Taiwan.
就没有缓冲的空间，也就没有战略纵深，没有战略纵深就没有预警的时间，大家都在高压力、高张度的状况下，整个在待命，这样对国军弟兄来看是非常大的压力。
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, on a visit to the Philippines, said Beijing was changing the status quo.
That status quo is founded on something that was clearly understood for decades, and that is the differences between Taiwan and the mainland need to be resolved peacefully. And what we've seen China do over the last few years is move away from a peaceful resolution of differences to doing so coercively and potentially forcefully.
China claims Taiwan as part of its territory, but Taiwan has its own government and operates independently. Beijing's latest show of force came in response to the high-profile visit of US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi last week. Taiwan says China hasn't just been launching a military campaign, but also information warfare. The military on Sunday disputed Chinese reports that their warships had sailed into Taiwan's territorial waters. It said a purported picture of a Chinese soldier on a warship looking towards Taiwan's coastline was fake. Taiwan says it's strengthening defences on all fronts. Later this week, the army will carry out live-fire drills in Pingtung in the south to test combat readiness. But Beijing is signalling that such exercises and calls for restraint from Taiwan and its allies will do little to make it change its course. Ricky and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Following China's exercises around Taiwan's main island, Taiwan is gearing up to hold live-fire exercises of its own on Tuesday and Thursday this week. Our reporter Bing Wong is in southern Taiwan at the location of the drills.
I'm standing on a rooftop in Pingtung County, and behind me, through those trees, you can see the beaches where these drills will take place. And the purpose of these exercises is to test Taiwan's combat readiness in the event of an amphibious invasion. The drills are a response to 4 days of Chinese military exercises, which took place in the waters around Taiwan. Taiwan's military says this week's drills are not aimed at China. They are exercises carried out every year. This year, they will include Army and Coast Guard personnel and include around 80 self-propelled howitzers and 6 mortars. They will also test out Taiwan's long-range missiles. One other thing to point out about this location is very close to where China held its own drills just days ago. James Rayner and Bing Wong in Pingtung for TaiwanPlus.
While China's live-fire drills have provided a clear reminder of the military threat facing Taiwan, there's another less visible danger. Taiwan's defense ministry said Monday that it has identified 272 items of disinformation in the past week intended to undermine confidence in the government. It's a campaign President Tsai Ing-wen has called information warfare. Our reporter Jaime Okan spoke to Yi Suo-zhen, a Taiwanese research fellow specializing in cybersecurity.
Leading up to Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, we saw cyber attacks on a number of government websites, including the presidential office. Can you talk about what's the purpose of these attacks?
Well, cyber attacks upon governmental official websites are very commonplace. The primary purpose behind these cyber attacks will be to create as much panic, anxiety as possible, because government official websites are usually for the purpose of service, provision of service. So these kind of attacks serve two major purposes. Number one is to undermine the governmental governance function. Number two is to create a kind of the cognitive or warfare or cognitive operation effect, try to create a panic, confusion, and anxiety.
Taiwan's president also warned the public about this information warfare initiated by China through these cyber attacks and the spreading of fake news. But what can everyday citizens do to help stop the spread of misinformation?
The least that they can do is to, first of all, to try to think before they leap, before they spread the information. They can think twice whether this is disinformation or not. This is already cliche in Taiwan because we are so used to the kind of disinformation campaign initiated by external hostile actor.
Taiwan has welcomed the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with a gun salute. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one of 14 countries that recognize Taiwan. This is the 11th time that the country's Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves, has visited Taiwan while in office. President Tsai Ing-wen thanked him for visiting during a challenging time. Chinese military exercises around Taiwan wrapped up on Sunday. Gonsalves voiced his support for Taiwan as an island nation that shares common values of democracy and human rights.
As in our own hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere, we do not like it and we do not support it when any powerful neighbor seeks to intimidate us or bully us.
Taiwan's National Palace Museum is refuting online rumors that it plans to relocate about 90,000 pieces from its collection to the US and Japan in response to China's military drills. The National Palace Museum has one of the world's most extensive collections of Chinese art, mostly artifacts brought over to Taiwan from China for protection during the Chinese Civil War. The museum says the rumors are fake news and that it has no plans to relocate them.
我们在第一时间呢，马上就以官网跟那个国内的社群媒体呢，严正的声明，绝无此事。69万件全部都是精品，而且呢，每一件都是值得我们国人来珍惜的。
After 10 years of construction, the Taipei Performing Arts Center has officially opened. The center cost the Taipei city government $220 million to build. Construction was filled with stops and starts. At one point, the center's main contractor went bankrupt and work stopped for nearly 2 years. The center contains 3 theaters: the 800-seat Globe Theater, the 1,500-seat Grand Theater, and the 800-seat Blue Box Theater. A total of 37 productions are scheduled for the center's first season. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of the World Dog Surfing Championships with dozens of dogs hitting the waves off the coast of California. Surf's up, Fido. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.